On January 22, 2023, hundreds of people from around the world will gather at the famous Graceland Mansion in Memphis, Tennessee, to say goodbye to a unique and incomparable man. Every year, 600,000 people flock to Graceland to honor the memory of the famous Elvis Presley, the undisputed king of rock and roll. On this day, however, the target was not Elvis, but someone who would join him in eternal rest after a life too short, turbulent, and full of ups and downs and turmoil. This is the story of Lisa Marie Presley, the only daughter of the king of rock and roll, the protagonist of a life full of excesses, loves, falls, and triumphs, who, in the end, was as much like her father as she was different. The early years of the Princess of Rock and Roll, as she was known throughout her life, were mostly happy and quiet. At least as peaceful as the life of the only daughter of a superstar of Elvis Presley's stature can be.
He was very protective, very adoring, very watchful, and I knew that I was loved. There's no question about that.
Lisa Marie was born on February 1st, 1968, at Memorial Baptist Hospital in Tennessee, 9 months after her mother, Priscilla Wagner Presley, married Elvis Presley on May 1st, 1967. Lisa spent her first 4 years at the Graceland Mansion until her parents separated in 1972. Since then, she has mostly lived with her mother, Priscilla, although this did not mean a total separation from her father, with whom she continued to see and spend much time. Every father's desire is to give his children all the benefits and advantages he was unable to have, and neither Elvis nor Priscilla were any exception. As a result, Lisa Marie's childhood was filled with luxury and privilege, a life that seemed perfect until the first tragedy knocked on the door. On August 16, 1977, worn down by the long chain of excesses that marked the last phase of his life, Elvis Presley died in Memphis, Tennessee, at the age of 42 from cardiorespiratory arrest caused by excessive use of barbiturates and prescription narcotics. That fateful night, when she was only 9 years old, Lisa Marie was at Graceland in the company of her father, whom she kissed on the cheek, never imagining that she would never see him again.
Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently, it was a heart attack.
Her father's death and the chaos that ensued would be the first major traumatic experience in the life of Lisa Marie Presley, who would later reveal in interviews that she had not only been the victim of a terrible premonition that night, but would also realize that she was the victim of a strange and premature obsession with death. The death of her father made Lisa Marie a multi-millionaire at the premature age of 9, when she became the sole heir to the king of rock and roll's colossal fortune, although the late Elvis's will required that she wait until she was 25 to claim it. After his death, Lisa Marie was left under the guardianship of her mother, who in numerous interviews expressed her wish that Lisa could have a normal childhood and adolescence, away from all the hustle and bustle of the cameras and show business.
I did protect her a lot because I felt that she deserved her life and she deserved her teenage years, which I knew would be the toughest.
This led Priscilla, on more than one occasion, to border on overprotection of her daughter. This, combined with a strong and deep existential doubt after the traumatic experience of witnessing her father's death, led Lisa to develop a rebellious and defiant attitude toward authority figures. As if that were not enough, her mother, Priscilla, had become a famous actress, thanks in part to the fame that came with being Elvis's first wife, and her career did not allow her to spend all the time she should have with her daughter, who dropped out of high school during her junior year. Thus, consciously or unconsciously, Lisa Marie began to follow in her father's footsteps, following the example she had observed since childhood and which was deeply engraved in her memory. Psychoactive substances and narcotics, just as her father had done in the last stages of his life. Around 1985, at the early age of 17, her problems with substances had already led to her admission to the Scientology Celebrity Rehabilitation Center, where she met the man who would become her first husband, a man named Danny Q. In 1988, at the age of 20, Lisa Marie Presley married Danny Keough, a rock and roll musician with whom she was married for 6 years and had 2 children, Riley and Benjamin Keough. Born in 1989 and 1992, the relationship finally broke up in 1994, and after the separation, Lisa Marie went into a deep depression that, despite being one of the most difficult moments of her life, would be the beginning of a successful career in the music industry. Being her father's daughter, Lisa Marie was not without talent. In fact, several successful musicians of the time said she had an amazing singing ability. By 1992, after the birth of her son Benjamin, Lisa Marie had recorded numerous singles and was soon receiving juicy offers and contracts for her music. The problem was the stigma that always followed her, for better or worse. As the only daughter of one of music's biggest stars, Lisa wasn't sure if these contracts were based on her own merits or if they were privileges and benefits bestowed upon her as her father's daughter.
No, well, since I was 22, I think I was too nervous to do it in front of anyone before that.
But you sang around like friends?
Listen really hard if I sang ever.
Right, because you sound like your dad.
I do?
Yeah. You don't think?
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard that. I've heard Cher.
You do sound a little like Cher.
Lisa was not single for long. In 1994, after a divorce, she would remarry, this time to a music star whose fame only rivaled that of her late father, the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
That your marriage was for real?
Yes.
And that you were in love with him?
Yes.
All of that is true?
Yes.
And looking back on that experience, what do you say to yourself when you look at that period in your life?
Holy Mother of God.
The relationship between Michael and Lisa has always been the subject of rumors and controversy.
Michael Jackson?
Oh, God.
Michael Jackson?
I thought you were going to go here first. I was hoping you forgot.
Why did you marry Michael Jackson?
Okay, can I just, well...
First, the marriage surprised Lisa's mother, Priscilla, who, on more than one occasion, made it known that she did not approve of the relationship between the two, to the point that it is believed that one of the main reasons Lisa agreed to become Michael's wife was to go against her mother's wishes.
What did your mother say?
She called me and said there are, oh, Lisa, there's helicopters outside the house, and they're saying you married Michael Jackson. And I was just quiet. And she goes, you didn't. She goes, you didn't. And I go, yeah, I did. And then it was just like, that was game on for me. Woo, Mom doesn't like it, let's go. I don't know.
But she didn't know you were going to get married?
No.
She went off and got married. No, I didn't even know she got married. I had someone tell me.
Tell me where you were the moment you found out.
It was like in the morning, and it came on the news, and... Someone came in and said, Lisa got married, and I said, no, she did not get married. They said, who did she marry? And I said, Michael Jackson.
On the other hand, she was also under suspicion. At the time, Jackson was facing his first allegations of child molestation.
Are they true?
No, I didn't. No, I actually did not.
You have said that you would never harm a child. I want to be specific as I can. Did you ever, as this young boy said you did you ever sexually engage, fondle, have sexual contact with this child or any other child?
Never, ever. I could never harm a child or anyone. It's not in my heart. It's not who I am. And it's not what I'm not even interested in that.
The relationship seemed too convenient, seen more as an attempt to distract public opinion from the allegations against Michael.
I'm not going to marry somebody for any reason other than the fact that I fall in love with them. Period. Period. And they can eat it if they want to think anything different.
To put it succinctly.
Yeah.
Others saw it as a fake and commercial relationship that could be presented to the media as a love story between the king of pop and the princess of rock and roll.
She married the biggest star of her time. You were going to marry the biggest music star of your time.
No, I don't think it was that premeditated.
Lisa defended her husband from the accusations against him, and although on more than one occasion they starred in certain uncomfortable and controversial episodes, she maintained that they loved each other deeply.
I love everything about him.
Less than a year later, however, the couple divorced in 1995. In more than a few interviews, both Lisa Marie and especially her mother, Priscilla, claimed that Jackson was not interested in her, but in what Lisa stood for, not the woman named Lisa Marie Presley, but the daughter of Elvis.
Do you think he used you?
Oprah? Miss Oprah. This seat is hot, let me tell you. All of the signs point to yes on that. Can't answer for him.
There's something very calculating and manipulative about, how he does things.
Lisa claimed to have felt this way on more than one occasion, and so, determined to make her place in history on her own merits, she began a career she had been putting off for nearly 3 years, since 1992. On April 8, 2003, Lisa released her debut album, To Whom It May Concern, a surprising success worthy of the daughter of the king of rock and roll.
Touring right now, or you're getting ready?
Starting again Saturday.
And how do you...
Although Elvis had set the bar high, Lisa's album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200 and was certified gold in June 2003 in just 2 months.
What do you think he would say about where you are today with your career and the music that you're putting out?
Well, I would hope that he would be very proud of me, of course.
On April 5, 2005, she released Now What, which debuted at number 9 on the Billboard charts and was certified gold shortly thereafter.
My whole life has been music. Everything's been music for me. Anything that's, it saves me. It gets me through everything.
Throughout her career, Lisa Marie has also starred in hit singles such as Lights Out, Sinking It, Dirty Laundry, and most notably, the 2007 single In the Ghetto, a posthumous duet with her father Elvis, whose video reached number 1 on iTunes and housed 16 on the singles chart.
When you heard your voice and your dad's voice?
It was just I could never sing like he can sing. I'm never ever gonna say that. I'm more of a singer-songwriter.
In 2012, Storm and Grace was released, which would be the last work of Lisa's career. Though her talent was outstanding, the ghosts of her past, the same ones that haunted her in the early years of her youth and, in parallel, drove her late father to death, came back to haunt her. In the midst of her career, Lisa had more loves. One of them was the renowned actor Nicolas Cage, who would become her third husband. The marriage with Cage was short, and after their divorce in a little over a year, she found a new love in producer and guitarist Michael Lockwood, with whom she had 2 twin daughters and the longest marriage of her life, 8 years. However, Lisa's excesses with drugs and alcohol began to undermine all areas of her life, including her career and relationships. By 2019, Lisa's mother, Priscilla, was very concerned about the future of her daughter, whose excesses reached the consumption of about 80 pills a day, according to some sources.
God, I know his struggles, a lot of people know what those were. I just had the same struggles, in the last few years. I had a really rough.
As if that weren't enough, in 2020, Lisa Marie's son, young Benjamin Keogh, took his own life at the untimely age of 27, leaving this world after an argument with his partner and because of a drug overdose too similar to that of his grandfather. This would be by far the hardest blow in Lisa's life, a blow that would end up bringing back all the demons of her past with overwhelming force. She would never get over it. In September 2022, just a year and a few months ago, Lisa Marie described herself as a person haunted by grief and loss since the age of 9, and the death of her son, who had always been painfully similar to her father, felt like a joke of fate. A fate that seemed bent on taking away everything she loved. The last time she was seen alive in public was at the Golden Globes Awards Gala.
Wow, tonight will be a wonderful night for Elvis. Yes, I hope so.
And have you gotten to know Austin Butler a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab your arm.
Yes.
A lot actually.
Accompanying the young actor Austin Butler, who was nominated for Best Actor for his portrayal of Elvis. Months later, on January 11, 2023, Lisa Marie Presley was found unconscious by her doctor at her home in Calabasas, California. And although he managed to revive her, hours later, the Princess of Rock and Roll was officially declared dead of a heart attack, just months after her father had been immortalized on film. 11 days later, Lisa Marie was buried in Mediation Garden, the famous garden at Graceland Mansion, where the remains of her beloved father, her son, and now her own would rest forever. It ended this way. In a lavish funeral attended by hundreds of people, the legendary Guns N' Roses singer, Axl Rose, said goodbye to the sound of November rain, bringing to an end the sad and tragic story of Lisa Marie Presley. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.